equation of a circle. Now, you may or may not remember this from when you had geometry. I don't remember how much you get into equations of circles in geometry. Generally, it's not a whole lot getting into the equations thereof. So the equation of a circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. H and k are the center of the circle. R is the radius of the circle. Okay. And remember, it's almost always, when it's in parentheses, it's opposite. So if I have x minus 2, my center the x coordinate of my center would not be negative 2, it would be positive 2. 99% of the time, if it's inside parentheses, the thing you were looking for is actually the opposite of what it is in the parentheses. Okay, it's a good rule of thumb to go by in just about everything. Anything inside parentheses, what you're actually working with is the opposite of what's inside the parentheses. 90% of the time that happens. So the first problem here is actually a pretty easy one. This is our h, this is our k, obviously that's our r. So we have x plus 4 squared plus, and that's important to have a plus in there, y minus 7 squared is equal to 81, 9 squared. Bless you. Right? Never going to always be that easy. Okay, next one's a little bit harder, but it's not that bad. We know where it's centered at. It's centered at the point 3, 6, which is up here. And it passes through the origin. So it goes through the origin. What don't we have? We have our h and our k. This is our h. This is our k, but we need the radius. So we have to figure out what the radius is based upon the information given. Yeah, it's actually not that hard on this one because it goes through the origin. But remember, the radius, the distance is the distance from the center to any point on the outside edge. Given the origin, it's fine. You could, if you have a specific value, you could use the distance formula. But honestly, I don't want to work that hard on this one. This is 3, this is 6, this is r, which is really nice because that means 3 squared plus 6 squared equals r squared. And I don't need to find r. To find the equation, I need r squared. Right? 3 squared is 9, 6 squared is 36. 9 plus 36 is 45, so r squared equals 45. I have everything I need for my equation. X minus 3 squared plus y minus 6 squared equals 45. Like I said, I don't have to find r to find the equation. I find r squared. Question. A little bit more difficult on this one. So you do have to remember what it means to be tangent. It means it touches in one and only one place. Right? A circle is tangent to a line. The tangent touches the circle in one and only one place. It just touches it, and it's 90 degrees to the radius. What? So this one actually, okay, I got to figure out my distance, my radius. It's not as hard as it looks on this one either because where's my center? My center is at the point -5, 2. So I have the point -5, 2. Well, -5 is this distance here, which means it's that distance there, right? So what's my radius? My radius is 5. because it's tangent to the y-axis, so the distance from the center to the y-axis, that's my radius. 5 units over, the radius is 5 units long. Okay? So I end up with the equation y plus 5, sorry, not y plus 5, my bad. X plus 5 squared plus y minus 2 squared is equal to 25 in this case. Any questions? All right. Sketching the circle. Find the center. Figure out the radius, use that to sketch the circle. So, my h is what? 3. My k is what? -1. And what is my radius? 4. So here's what you want to do when you're sketching these out. Find the center, 3 -1 over 3 down 1. There's your center. And then to sketch it rather accurately, go out 4 units vertically and horizontally, because it's hard to do it at an angle. You can't. But go out this radius 4 units out. So I go out 4 units this way, and I go out 4 units this way, and I go down 4 units, and I go up 4 units, and I try to do the best I can. That's close enough for government work. Okay, what's my h on this one? 0, because I have x squared, so it's x minus 0 squared, so it's 0 here. My k is 1, so I have 0, 1. And my r is what? Square root of 2. How do you plot the square root of 2? Well, you take the square root of 2 on your calculator, and you realize that it's approximately 1.41. And so I go about 1.5 away, and I go about 1.5 away, and I go about 1.5 away, and 1.5 away, and I draw my circle. And if you really, really, really want to be fancy and awesome with your circle, bring a compass. But that would be good enough for anything I'm doing here. I have a really nice compass, but I took it home and left it there. All right. The moment you've all been waiting for. I will be perfectly honest with you, gentlemen. I will be perfectly honest with you. I absolutely detest using completing the square to solve quadratic equations. Either factor it or use the quadratic formula. I detest, absolutely detest completing the square for solving quadratic equations. I think it's a waste. I think it's horrible. I think it confuses students. I think it's a pain in the butt. Might as well just, if you can't factor it, just stick it in the quadratic formula, because that will work every single time, even if it's imaginary solutions. However, that being said, there is one very important use for completing the square, and this is it. Figuring out the center and radius of a circle equation written in this form. Because I can't do it the way it stands. I got to figure out the h and the k. And in order to do that, I need to do completing the square. So here's what you do. Take your x's and put them forward. So I have x squared plus 4x, leave a blank. Do the same thing with my y's, plus y squared minus 6y, leave a blank, equals -12. Move the 12 over to the other side. Yeah, that's what you have to do. So here we go. We're going to complete the square. What do? You take whatever the b term is, how many ever x's or y's you have, half of this and square it. Half of 4 is 2. Square that, you get 4, so I add 4 here. Half of 6 is -3. I square that, I get 9. And if I add 4 and I add 9, I need to add 4 and I need to add 9 to the other side to keep balance. Right? And then I now have x plus 2, because what did I square? I squared plus 2. X plus 2 squared. Plus, and then I have y, what? -3, because half of -6 is -3. Squared equals 1 in this case. -12 plus 4 plus 9 is 1. So my h is -2, my y is, my k is 3, and my r is 1, because the square root of 1 is 1. So I have -2, 3, and then I have a radius of 1. Easy peasy. Yeah. Okay. Questions? Nice, easy one for a Friday.